Welcome back, fellow adventurers, to the Frog God Games YouTube channel. I am Ben Barsh, your host, guide, and dungeon master here through all the craziness that is Frog God Games. And wow, is it so awesome to be back on the tripod. Hello! If you are following the channel, you'll know that I pretty much have completed the Swords and Wizardry 101 playlist, which I do at my computer so that way I can share the screen and then visually and audibly talk as well. So I have, not made a video on a tripod in a while because I've wanted to make sure to get that series done so that way people who are learning the game have all the knowledge just right there for them. And what I'm going to do is take a little step back to a series that I want to further make videos on, and that is the Tome of Horrors Monster Encounter series with the Tome of Horrors 5e from Frog God Games. Now, there is the Tome of Horrors Complete as well on the website, which is for Pathfinder 1st Edition and Swords and Wizardry. So if you're interested in those game editions, there are books for that as well. But for the sake of having it all in one place on this series, I'm using the 5th edition version. However, if you want to use one of these creatures, it's very easily adapted into whatever game system you play. And in today's video, I want to go over a very cool and fun monster, which of course will have it has the possibility of having pretty large implications mechanically, but overall it's just a super fun addition to your game, and that is the Spell Parrot. Now, the Spell Parrot is pretty much exactly like a normal parrot, except it has very high intelligence and can cast spells. So yeah, like your normal parrot. They are tameable as pets, and in my opinion, they can be a really cool addition to any spellcaster. You'll see why when we talk about the mechanics of it, or it can also be a menacing NPC. Keep in mind, these are very intelligent parrots, so you might run into some problems like you would if you had a sentient magic item where it sort of has a mind of its own and a large intelligence, so if it sees you as weak, it might turn tides. So now let's go over the mechanical implications of the Spell Parrot, and then we'll talk about the use of it in-game. So the Spell Parrot, it is a tiny monstrosity, unaligned, armor class 12, which is about right. Hit points are very low because, like I said earlier, it still is sort of like a normal parrot. It has a slow walking speed, of course, because, that only makes sense, but then a 50 feet fly speed, which is very, very good. And then its stats, kind of are what they are. I personally bump up the intelligence, but if you use wisdom in place for intelligence, that makes more sense of why it has a bigger pool of that, being that it has the ability to cast spells. And as we know in 5th edition, intelligence isn't the only way that you can cast spells. You can cast spells with wisdom and charisma as well. Now, the important part of the Spell Parrot is the Spell Mimicry. Whenever the Spell Parrot hears a cantrip or a 1st level through 5th level spell that has a verbal component being cast, it can attempt to mimic the casting of that spell on its next turn. The Spell Parrot ignores any semantic or material component that the spell requires. When the Spell Parrot attempts to mimic the spell, roll a d6. If the spell is a cantrip or 1st level spell, the casting succeeds if it is a 3 to 6. If the spell is 2nd level or higher, aka 2nd to 5th level in this case, the casting succeeds on a result of 5 or 6. Once the Spell Parrot mimics the spell, it forgets the spell. The Spell Parrot uses the original caster's spell save DC and spell attack bonus, and the spell must have a valid target for the Spell Parrot to use as the target of the mimicked spell. So we have some pretty cool information here regarding the actual mechanical use of the parrot. Now, how I see it is if you have the Spell Parrot as a pet, you are magically bound with that creature to basically have another spellcaster alongside with you in the party. So if instead of using a spell like Find Familiar, your wizard wants to use something like the Spell Parrot, if they find one that agrees to be a companion, you can use this to basically have another ally with you in the party. In my opinion, it's a really good play on hirelings or henchmen, especially because there is still a chance that the Spell Parrot fails to mimic the spell, and then on top of that, might not even hit, or the enemy might make their saving throw. So there are a couple layers to this to peel back that kind of your initial thought when you read this is, wow, that's overpowered. They basically just get to duplicate their spell. It's not quite like that, but certainly has the opportunity to be. So I see this in 2 ways. I find this as a really fun ally to an adventuring party. Give it to a wizard or a warlock, bard, cleric, something like that, to where it gives them another opportunity to succeed on what they are doing. And it doesn't have to be just the normal classic, like you roll up to a town and you're paying a follower to come with you and you have to split some of the treasure with them. This is a really unique way to have an ally in the game of Dungeons & Dragons. How I can also see it is have this parrot be aligned with a big bad guy. So an evil spellcaster has a spell parrot companion to where it is mimicking their spells and, is another part of the battlefield casting at the back line while the wizard's trying to take care of your barbarians and your fighters. The spell parrot is wreaking havoc by flying around and then casting spells down at the party. And being that it is only a challenge level 3, you can introduce this pretty early. Because like I said, you still have sort of a wall of rolls to get behind before you can even see if, the spell parrot hits with the spell. There is the opportunity of it being an elder spell parrot. And in this case, the challenge rating goes up to 6. It has, 7 hit points. And the spell mimicry feature gets buffed a little bit. So now you can cast a cantrip or first through 8 level. When the spell parrot attempts to mimic the spell, roll a d6. If the spell is first or third level, including cantrips, the casting succeeds if it is a 3 to 6. If it is a 4 through 6 level, it is 5 or 6. And then if it's 7 through 8th, you succeed on a 6. So it's much harder to hit with the higher level spells. You have to roll a 6 on the die, which makes sense. And if for your game you feel like this might be a little strong, make it a d8, and then you have a bigger spectrum to play on. Like, for example, the 5th and 6th level spells can be on 7, and then, the 7th and 8th level spells can be on 8. So, just maybe give yourself a little bit more wiggle room if you see fit. But like I said, this is just a super fun opportunity to introduce a very uncommon ally or enemy to a fight. It would even be kind of cool if someone was like breeding spell parrots and you could go buy one and like pick out the different kind of macaws and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm doing that in my game. Again, this isn't like one of the most terrible foes you will ever fight, like an Orcus or a Demogorgon. This is just sort of like a fun little monster that definitely has opportunity to make your game exciting and new. I mean, for real, I've never had anything like this at all. So this is definitely going in my 5th edition game. I wish I could run polls on these videos to where like you click a button and you vote, but let me know if you guys are interested in fun monsters like this, or if you would like to see, epic boss fight monsters. Let me know in the comment section down below. And also, please let me know if any of you have used the Spell Parrot and any fun stories you might have with it, or, a similar creature. Like the video because it does help me grow the channel. Subscribe because we are putting out more content than ever. And that just about wraps up this video for me. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Everyone be safe, be kind to each other, and keep going on adventures worth winning.